What's going on, y'all? Yeah, sorry about the loss of audio. Like I said, that was a metaphor for being silenced, the First Amendment being taken away, freedom of speech and to express oneself. It was a metaphor to top off that video. It wasn't, but sounds good. Um, anyway, this shit right here is a trip to me. Of course, it's Yahoo Finance talking about the Lopx ETF that somehow is under $10, even though it's holding the majority of a stock that's was sitting over 40 when this was wrote. But it was what I was talking about before, and it doesn't make sense. And people are like, oh, they had this. This was set up like post-pandemic or whatever, when they were expecting it to be around $4 or $5 a share or something like that was when this was set up. But they just so happened to release it towards the end of this month with all the other bullshit that I told you and showed you that's going on. And then here's this guy in the next quarter. They're only keeping it in there for this quarter. They're going to sell it next quarter. It's going to be out of this ETF. So that gives them 3 months of shorting power of a seriously over leveraged stock with AMC. It's insane. It's crazy. It's wild. Literally, this shit is wild. It doesn't make any sense. But, what are you going to do? These are things we can't control. And at this point, that's really what it's all about. What can you control? There's no sense in getting stressed out over shit that you can't control. There's no more shares left. That's bottom line. There hasn't been any shares left for months now. Like, for a while, there hasn't been any shares of AMC. Everything getting put out there is all synthetic. This is part of the reason someone had brought it up, and I didn't want to say anything because I don't want everybody doing this. My transferring from Robinhood and Webull to Fidelity, part of it's experimental. I only have a low amount of shares getting transferred from there because people are like, well, why don't you just sell it? Just sell it there so you don't have to pay the transfer fee, blah, 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 whatever. I'm not worried about that. I intentionally wanted to transfer some shit from Webull, from Robinhood, to see if they can transfer it to Fidelity. Because when you transfer to like a real legitimate, brokerage, they're going to want real shares. Like, yeah, hey guys, I'm not giving my client fake shares, synthetic shares. Like, and if they're having an issue tracking down some real shares or can't transfer these real shares, because Webull and fucking Robinhood, they just hold IOUs. Literally, that's what they hold. When you buy shit in there, you're not actually holding stock. You're holding an IOU attached to a stock that's held somewhere else. They don't actually hold it. So they have to find me the amount of shares that I'm transferring, legitimate shares that I'm transferring, to give them to Fidelity. And if they can't, that's going to be a big problem. That's going to be a big red flag. There's going to be an issue there. And again, I don't mind doing it. It could hold my shit up for a while, for a long time. But that's why the majority of my shit is not in Webull and not in fucking Robinhood, and never was, as far as holdings go. So that's part of the reason why I did what I did the way that I did. Yeah, if you want to just sell and go that route and transfer funds to, Fidelity or whatever, you can obviously do it that way. But I intended to do it this way just to see if it goes through. I'm just curious. My shares are sitting in Robinhood. I got back in like March. So I'm curious to see if I even got real shares then, if my IOUs are attached to real shares somewhere. So it wouldn't really matter anyway, because Robinhood, Webull, fucking just, everybody's shares are in this gigantic blender that just keeps spinning around, and then they stop it and pour it out wherever someone wants it and start it back up again. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's only like $500 worth of shares. I'm not stressing that. Like, that's worth it to me if it gets held up or whatever for my brokerage to be like, yo, there's some fucked up shit going on here. And then, hey, Gary, I can't get a hold of these shares for my client. They're trying to transfer some shit from your homeboys at Robinhood and at Webull, and for some reason they can't find them, even though my client bought them. So we'll see how that goes. And now there's a lot of people that are like, oh, we don't want the SEC involved and blah, 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 blah. And honestly, it doesn't really matter. No, do I want them straight up halting everything? No, nobody wants that. But I mean, you're already in a scenario where this is basically halted. It's stopped. There's nothing we can do. It's not moving forward for us. So it really doesn't matter. And they're going to have to investigate anyway first. They're going to have to find proof of fraudulent shit. And typically when that happens, it's usually whoever it is that's committing the fraud, they get shut down. Like they get frozen assets, whatever. And then once they're done with whatever bullshit's going on, they get liquidated. It's like, yeah, this is done, boom. So then it's good news. At the end of the day, it would be good news. Now you're just waiting, and they're not able to pull the bullshit that they're pulling, and then any day now, it's basically going to be yeah, they're liquidated. Everybody that they fucked over out of money and out of shares, it's getting taken care of. These guys are going to want to get it taken care of prior to that happening. They don't want that happening, so they're doing everything they can to shift shit around, to hide shit, so that, when the SEC knocks on the door, hey, I want to take a look at some of your shit, or whatever. They at least have it set up to be like, hey, everything looks normal here, look, blah, 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 blah. So that's why all this shit's happening in ETFs right now. But yeah, I just thought that was crazy, reading this shit. And there was also there was an article this morning, another little whoop-de-woo about Citadel getting fined. I think it was only like $700,000 or something for front running. And it was gone, of course. I went to click on it, and it was gone. Another 404 error. So I'm sure in a day or so, when you click on that, it'll bring up a completely random article that has nothing to do with that one, and Citadel's name isn't going to be in it. So, yep. So at this point, guys, I mean, there's not, aside from, encouragement and, a place to just kind of lean on and, draw some strength from during the tough time. That's really about all anyone can offer you at this point. Charlie's kicking ass at bringing up new filings for everyone to look at and see, which to me, again, is very important. It's important to know these things. If you want to be a successful individual retail investor, you have got to know the ins and outs of the stock market as a whole. Everything, not just the buying and selling. You need to understand the legal side of this shit. You need to understand the filing processes. Learn everything you can about it. So when new shit comes up, obviously, I mean, we'll be on top of it. If anything cool comes out that I think everyone needs to know about. And the ape thing again, another, like, people are getting pissed about that type of shit. Why are people saying we shouldn't be apes anymore? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know how old everyone is, but I'm going to reference the Mighty Ducks here. If you ever watched the Mighty Ducks, you ever watch them? Because they started out as a team called District 5, and people made fun of them, and they laughed at them, and they thought they were silly. And then they started winning games. They had, they were a force to be reckoned with. They didn't continue to call themselves District 5. When that happened, and when they knew that they were going to be taken seriously, they were being taken seriously, they wanted to be taken seriously, they changed their fucking name to the Ducks. That's how that goes. Apes was cool. Apes was funny. It was a good time. That good time is over now. That's bottom line. That's how I look at it. So if you don't like the Mighty Ducks, fuck you, because that's like one of the greatest films ever made from my childhood. I actually think they redid it on the Disney Plus shit or so. I don't know if it was a movie or a series. I know they did something, but I guarantee you, I bet you they still follow that same shit. I bet they have a name that isn't whatever, the Ducks. I don't know the premise, but I'm sure somewhere in that movie or whatever the series, there's going to be a name change at some point. I guarantee you that. Guarantee you that. That's how that shit goes. Anyway, I'm going to hop off here. I'm going to enjoy my Saturday a little bit. I suggest you all do the same. Enjoy this weekend. Just get the stress out. Just shake all the stress out. Enjoy yourselves. Because there's just not a lot anyone can really do right now. There's not. if you want to start learning some more about how to be a better individual retail investor, fuck, by all means, do that today if you got time. Start reading into some shit. Start looking at the Fed register. Start reading into like FINRA and how they work, and the NSCC and the DTCC and OCC and FICC. Start, looking into shit that pertains to the stock market, so that you can, give yourself some more tools to use on your venture to becoming a successful individual retail investor, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Go enjoy a little bit of the sun while it's still out. All right, guys, later.